Good afternoon. Happy weekend, everybody. This is Matt with Tomcat Sports Cards, and this is the Poke Check podcast. It's episode 6. Took a week off there to enjoy my spring break. So I hope everybody else is enjoying their weekend like I've been. But really excited to do this episode today because on Instagram, there's an account that I've been following for a while and just watching the specific cards that this person was picking up, and I started a conversation with him and thought it would be great to have him on here. He's got some great stories, and it's also his first time being able to talk about his collecting journey. So without further ado, Bradey, aka Acetate Guy, how are you, man?
Good, man. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. Really excited to have you on here and have the chance to talk to you. I know that we've had some real fun chats back and forth through the old messenger on Instagram there. And it was really cool because I think, was it like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I kind of threw the idea out to you that I was going to be doing this. And I could tell how excited you were about, listening and also having the opportunity to come on. So
yeah, for sure.
Really, really happy that you decided to do that. How have you been enjoying the recent episodes? Has that kind of helped you like think about the stories you're going to tell? Because I'm sure you've heard some pretty good stories that have resonated, right, within you that have been on here.
I watched a few. I think I watched your first video, and I watched a lot of the recent ones where you were talking with a bunch of other guys in the hobby. I watched like your mail day videos on here, and it's just really cool because it's another platform that you can watch, someone in the hobby use. There's not very many people that like use YouTube. If they do, it'll be like for like box breaks and whatnot. But It's cool that you actually have a podcast, and there's like the Center Ice podcast.
So
other ones.
Center Ice Cardcast. Eric and Aaron are awesome. Yep.
Yeah, so there's not much that's going around, so it's pretty cool to be able to talk to someone from the hobby because, well, I don't get a chance to do this ever, not very often, like ever. So,
well, I think it's important to give collectors platforms to share about their experiences. I think as fellow collectors, when we hear those experiences that are similar to us, resonate within us, it keeps us motivated, because we chatted about this before we recorded, and it's like when you are not able to share about your collecting experiences, when you are just kind of doing it all by yourself, there's not really many connections that you have going for you. Collecting can be kind of a draining experience, I guess is how I would describe it. I mean,
it can be, yeah.
You've been on Instagram for a while, but how long were you collecting before you ever decided to create an account on Instagram and start, making those connections and sharing your collection?
I want to say probably around June, July of 2015. I think that was the release date, somewhere around there where the Timmy's cards came out. And I was just trying to collect that set, making like trades with people around town for those. Pretty cool, like even just getting like the base cards. I know like that's just missing a few here and there, and it's like
nice.
They're not worth anything, but it's like you got to go buy a bunch of packs to try to get them. And yeah, that's basically how I started. And then after that, I actually started later on that year in December of 2015. That's when I got my job on a local oil site here. So then then I was making like real money, and it became dangerous.
Well, it's interesting to hear that because I didn't know that your journey kind of started with the Tim set, but being a set builder at heart, that kind of set you on the path that you're on now. Because for anybody that's seen your Instagram, like you are putting together one of the most popular sets that anybody could want to put together in hockey, and one of the most desirable cards for any Young Guns chaser out there. And those acetate Young Guns are not unrecognizable. I think everybody knows about them, whether you collect them or not. And so I mean, like once you got that real job, and you're how did you decide on that being the master set that you wanted to start putting together? Because that I mean, I know you're a pretty intelligent person, and looking at the landscape of what that was going to entail and the dollars that it would take, the time and effort and all that. I mean, did you like the idea of just it being this, many year project type thing?
Well, it was basically like a pipe dream at first. I actually, from December to about, I'd say late February, early March of that year, I
Mm-hmm.
actually didn't have this idea in mind at all. I was collecting. I'm a Pens fan, so
Go Pens.
funny enough, the big hype then for any Pens rookie was Ali Mata.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I was actually
It's a
collecting
name.
his stuff, and I mean, I didn't have a very interesting collection. I maybe had 10 cards of his. I was just collecting here and there, and I ended up getting a Crosby autograph from somebody. This is at the time where I didn't even know what like sticker autos were, so I had one of those, and then my biggest purchase was I think it was Emblems of Endorsement Malkin, Evgeny Malkin,
Nice.
out
Those
of
are beautiful
15.
cards. Mm-hmm.
And like Malkin, for the most part, was one of my favorite players to watch on the Penguins. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I just like like the Russians, like they got the high skill, just really fun player to watch. So I started collecting like just Pittsburgh. I was going to start collecting some of the bigger rookies of all the top Pittsburgh guys, and then eventually I kind of just got bored with it, and it's like I don't really want to just collect random stuff that everyone else is collecting. I wanted to just try a set. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
more rewarding to do like a set. And I was going to do the first set I was actually going to do was the ice premiers.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. That's a
I
tough
was
one too.
gonna do those, and I didn't know much about the hobby at all. I didn't even know what like acetate young gun was. Um, a buddy of mine, I went to an expo, and he picked up 6 of these cards, and same guy who sold me my Melkin emblems of endorsement, and he's like, "Hey, how do you like these cards?" And I was like, "Holy, like those are beautiful." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Like, what are those?" And he said, they're acetate young guns. They're new on the market. He said they're like an Easter egg or something. He said they only came out
Right.
like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I ended up buying on one of my posts that I sent you of the top 10.
Yep.
There's one single card that's on there that was part of that 6 cards.
Let me see here. I'm going to pull it up here. All right.
Yeah.
I don't want to show them yet because I'm sure you're going to talk about it, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at them right now. So, okay, it was one of these 10 right here.
One of these 10, yeah, they're one of the bigger ones from 2013. I'll just let you know that one.
2013.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I see it. Nice.
yeah. So
Nice.
I just put that one there instead of all 6 because it was the biggest one. But it's
Mm-hmm.
on real like what I paid for those 6 cards compared to what they are now, and I ended up getting those 6. And then for some reason, something in me just said, I want to complete this set, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know there was more. I didn't know there was just. That's the thing. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to put together this set, and then I had people sending me pictures of ones they had for sale, and I was like, oh God, like what are those? Are those the same thing? They're like,
That's
yeah,
funny.
these are from 2014. I'm like, oh wow. And so I started looking into it, and then realized that every set is 98 cards. I'm like, oh God, and then there's some sets that actually have 108 because they have update ones, right?
Right.
So I was like, oh my. I was like, whatever. I said, this can't be that bad. Yeah. So
Wow. Little did you know, huh?
yeah, little did I know that it was going to entail like this freaking crazy collection. I never ever thought that it was going to get to this point. My main goal was just to complete the first set. I didn't have any goal of doing a master set. Like I did, but it was a pipe dream. It was more so like if it gets done, it gets done. But
Right.
I highly doubt it's ever going to. It's going to entail a lot of luck and a lot of like snipes, like eBay, and just being in the right place, at the right time. And
Yep.
that's basically what it is. There's a lot of luck that came with with completing this set that I'm sure we'll get into, but just unreal. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because having put the master set of goalie young guns together, that was way harder than I thought it was going to be. Now, I know that we're talking in two different stratospheres here. Like acetate young guns are in a class of their own, not just with price, but with their rarity as compared to a base young guns. But even going through that process, it was fun to see, like, okay, well, how come I can't find this goalie? Like, he's nowhere. Who the heck is Jorge Alves? Oh, no, that was a promo card they did, blah, blah, blah. Like, you start learning about the details of some of these cards that you're like, okay, this one should be available, but these aren't.
Exactly.
But then, I can find 50 Carter Harts anytime I want. So it was really, really interesting to go through that process. So just for anybody that, is kind of following along, you have up to date, you have the entire, since the beginning of Acetate Young Guns, you have every single one that's been made, right? You were able to complete that. What was the timeline of that? Like how many years, months did it take you to complete the whole thing?
6 years.
6-year journey. And that right there is a testament, because how many collectors do you know that like start a project, whether it's like a player PC or a set or whatever, and they bail on it, because it gets to be too much for them. It's too much going on in life. It's too expensive. It takes too long. Like for you to be able to see that through, that's a pretty big achievement, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. A lot of patience and tenacity comes with it. And honestly, I was putting together bits and fragments of the first 3 sets, because when I started collecting, like the month after was when McDavid came out and everything went crazy. And like I knew McDavid, like from his like OHL highlights and whatnot, with the Gary Otters, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And I seen the draft class, and I seen like Panarin and Eichel, and at the time Virtanen was actually a big card too. Sam Bennett was huge. He was supposed to be projected to be a really good player. So you had all these players, and then you had McDavid on top of it, and like Larkin as well. I guess there's a few other players that goes with that. But I think that was more so why I started to add to all these sets, is because I had bits and pieces of all these sets. I didn't just want to sell them. I didn't want to have the time and like the hassle of selling cards at the time, before the market like went up like last year, some of these cards were like $20. Like of no name players, like who's going to buy those, Right. So I was like, well, might as well put all the set together. And then I started building a passion for it once I finished my first set. Because then I knew that, okay, it's actually possible. It's actually possible to put together a set, right? So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's really cool to kind of hear how the journey and the process went on, because again, I think when you're undertaking a set of this magnitude, you really have to have certain things go well for you. You have to be really dedicated to it, probably more than most, because of the set that you're building. How much do you think the community though has been a huge help for you, the Instagram community, or just like the online platforms? I mean, do you think the majority of your cards, especially the tougher ones that you have, were thanks to people kind of looking out for you?
I'd say 90% came from Facebook, Instagram, and probably Facebook and Instagram, to be honest. Like eBay were basically for just things that would just pop up randomly. So I have it saved on my list on there. But I really got big into the hockey groups. Like it wasn't until I think 2017, later on that year, I actually got Instagram.
Okay.
Because I had my own personal account on there, but I didn't really use it. And then I started to go on, and had all these collectors on there, and they were actually posting like pictures. Like Facebook, you'd always get the blurry pictures, or always the sale post. And Instagram is someone like people were actually sharing their collections and writing about it. And again, you're never going to see better collections and different cards that you've never seen before on Facebook and other platforms. It's always going to be on Instagram, because that's where you get the big picture. No pun intended. You get a nice big picture, right, of the card. So it's really cool. And like, again, you can still, sell, buy, trade on there. But a lot of posts are people, talking about their collections, or, be
Right.
on story. They'll probably have a sale post on their story, but their actual account will have their collection, like
Mm-hmm.
yourself. I mean, and it comes to the photography. Like, you're just like me. I like aesthetically pleasing
Yep.
cards, and I like photography. Like, I like to have that nice crystal clear picture, and nice, basically the whole frame is that picture, and to get a little bit of
Yep.
the shine to it. It's hard to do with my set because they're all shiny, so it's really hard to get a nice picture.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of some people on on Instagram that also collect the sets like I do. They're able to get like the perfect picture, and a lot of people, like, they scan their cards and post them on there, and
Right.
I don't have one of those, so.
Well, I just want to take this opportunity to show everybody your account here.
Okay.
And here we go. There it is. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, man. And again, you're using the white backdrop, which is super smart with a lot of the cards that you're posting. Because then you're not taking too much away from the shine. There's a picture of your old man right there, huh?
Yeah.
That's great. Look at that, Mario. His tops Mario at a 9. Look at that.
OPG.
Wow, look at that, man.
Yeah, he's been a big baller lately. He only likes vintage, and he's not really up to date on anything modern. But his dream card is PSA 10 OPG.
Okay.
And if one ever pops up, he's probably going to pull the trigger on it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Use the old retirement account on that one, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I was hoping that you had a copy of this down here because we were talking before the show went, and you just mentioned aesthetics with cards, and I thought that the picture they chose for Fleury was absolutely perfect. You got and they really edited the image to make it a bit brighter, especially with his pads, with his co-host set up from his rookie year. I mean, it's a very sharp, beautiful picture.
That is by far my favorite picture I've ever taken on my account, right there. It's my profile picture. So I used to have McDavid as my profile picture, but I was like, no, this set is too nice. And funny enough, as much as I love the Fleury, probably my second favorite of those 9. I think that one of the best designs I've ever seen, like best pictures, is from the Solani on the top left there.
Oh, this one up here, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Just unreal. When I first seen that card just pop up on eBay, I said, wow. And they were going for a bit at the time, but I ended up getting one. I put this little set together pretty quickly, but I overpaid definitely for a lot of them.
Well, this is the extended ones, right? The ones that came out in extended.
From series 1 of, because usually they all come out in SP Authentic, but the retros will always come out in series 1.
Well, except the Fleury, I know that one came out in extended because that card started showing up when extended came out, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And of course, as you mentioned, you got people that reach out to you. So every time a card comes up, people are like, hey Matt, have you seen this card? Have you seen this card? I'm like, what is happening right now? Where is this card from? I've never heard of it, never seen it. What are retro acetates? Like, I had to then go educate myself on just what those are. And so that was really cool. And of course, Name, who we talked about, Indigenous Rookie Cards, is like, you need to own this card. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the more exciting additions last year. I even did a video for it because I won it for my high bid. Like, was it like $501.99, and that's what I won it for. And at the time, it was the cheapest one. So
the Fleury?
Yeah.
Wow, I wish I got mine for that.
Well, I'm guessing you bought one of the first ones that came out because there, if you remember, there was like 3 guys that threw them up on eBay, and they were all over $1,000. And I was messaging all of them like, hey. I knew in my mind $500 was what I wanted to pay for it, like max. I said It's not a true rookie card, and nowadays you can scoop them up for close to $4, I think, which is usual. But
yeah,
I have a tough time with those, and I was going to bring this up with you. With the acetate Young Guns, do we know a print run on like the actual acetate Young Guns? They've never released it.
No, they've never released it, and I've actually talked to Upper Deck quite a few times. Like, I would talk to them, they would give me the same answer that we don't release, print runs on unannounced inserts, and then I would wait another 6 months and see if I could get a different person replying to me again. And no, but funny that you mentioned that, because that's what I get tagged in nowadays. Since the set's already completed, I don't really get tagged that much, but when I do, it's for people asking about print runs. Right. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't know, but the first couple years are ridiculous. Like, you can't find them at all. Like, you can't find these. There's certain cards in there you can't find. 2014-15 Series 2, especially that one, is one of the hardest hobby boxes to actually find.
Interesting.
So I didn't know that when I was completing my set until a couple years later, when I did complete it, and someone told me, well, there's a reason you had such a hard time, was because it's a short printed set, and not really any big value in the set. I mean, other than Pasternak and Horvat, there really wasn't any big names at the time.
Okay.
So print runs, though, a very cool story is there was a between me and a buddy on Facebook, we ended up trying to find as many as we could from like the first year. Mm-hmm. So I think altogether we found 11 Kucherov.
Okay.
So I'm not 100% sure, because a lot of these sales could have been the same card, but we had 11 Nikita Kucherov, and we found in 2014 Ryan Sproul, not playing in the NHL anymore, but there was a super collector who ended up having 10 of them. And funny enough, I ended up getting one on eBay. I didn't get it from him, so that made 11. So 11 from both years. So we're not 100% sure, but I want to guess, in the high estimate, that there's like 25 to 30 from the earlier years. But
okay.
I would honestly go as low as 15, but that's pushing it. It might be 25.
It's tough too, because sometimes people pull the cards and stick them in a box, and they don't go for sale. They don't get posted. Like, there's a chunk of the collecting community that is just completely not nearly as much as it would have been 10 years ago. But there's a small chunk, I think, that when I try to figure out print runs, I have to attribute that they're not on social media. They don't post their collections. Maybe they took it to a card shop and it sits there and you'll never see it. So
exactly.
I always figure like 25% of all the cards that were created are in those hands, and then the 75% you're going to see in collectors on Instagram, Facebook, and being sold on eBay. So
yeah,
me and Chris, the other Fleury collector I had on here, I don't know if you watched that episode yet, but we talked about the Platinum Portraits, which was a really cool set that was in Metal Universe that came out there.
Yeah.
And on Center Ice Cardcast, they talked about with who is it at Upper Deck? I always forget his name. Super cool dude. They get that Upper Deck employee that comes on, and he talks about different sets that they do. And he said that those took, 15 to 30 minutes to make one card because of how, intricate the laser cutting is.
Really?
And so,
cool.
Yeah. So when you find out that, and then you think, okay, I'm going to watch for when they get sold. And the first Fleury that came up, I was very fortunate to get it. Made it really, I had an offer in my mind. That's what I got it for. He ended up being on Instagram too, which was cool, so I could tag him. But as I saw them getting listed, and then of course when EPAC came out, I saw 4 or 5 more. We are holding strong at 15 to 20, like you're saying, and I feel like a lot of those unannounced, like Fanimation is another one that I'm curious about.
I love that set a lot.
Oh, it's not as good now as it was, and I'm not saying that as a slight to Upper Deck, but they used to. The artists that did those were
like the Fleury that you own is beautiful. Like just everything,
thanks,
like the
man.
Vegas in the background. Like
I know it's perfect, isn't it?
Is awesome.
Yeah, when you talk about overpaying, I feel like if that went up for auction, it wouldn't have gone for that much. But I got to give him a shout out. A guy named Drew, Let's Collect Hockey on Instagram. He was the one that had it, and Kellen collects. He's like, hey, I saw this on a Reddit post. I'm like, wow, of all places. And and we ended up like connecting on Instagram, which is great. So, but I think let's talk about that for just a minute. You talk about this term of overpaying. You are building a set. Like, you are going to do what you have to do to acquire. Like, we're curious. The very last card you picked up to complete the set was who?
McDavid.
Okay, so I was wondering if it was going to be like a completely oblivious name to most people, or if it was going to be like the one to get. And
if I'm being honest, I didn't know that they were going to be doing retros again. So funny enough, the last card that I've ever gotten in the mail was actually Fleury.
Oh, it was the Fleury.
It was, because it was the most expensive one in that little 9-card set when it first came out.
It was.
So I was kind of trying to find one for a decent price, and I get really like anxious. I really want the card, even though I could probably wait a couple months and get it, but I didn't want to do that. I ended up overpaying for it, and I mean I can probably list dozens of cards that I have like really overpaid, like 5, even 10 times the value I've paid for cards, because some of them came out of personal collections.
Yeah.
Some of them were just, people that didn't know values, or, one of those people like, I know what I got,
I love that. Don't
yeah.
I know what I got. It just makes me laugh, because I feel like people that do that now, I think, are being like silly more than they're not. And, all those fake posts where it's like a Gretzky like printed out on printer paper, cut in half, and these like 10 grand or best offer. I know what I got or something.
Yeah, it's like most posts are sarcastic, but then you look like at the profile picture and there's like no profile pictures. Like, oh, they're probably not being sarcastic. They're probably being real. Yeah. But I ended up paying quite a bit for a lot, especially my 2014 set. My 2014 and even my 2013 set, the first two, I overpaid a lot for the no names, like a lot.
Well, but I mean, here's the thing. This is an interesting topic, because looking back, now that you have the whole thing, I'm not saying that you would ever just up and sell this set, because this is one of the greatest achievements of a set builder in my mind, from the Instagram community. So like that in itself is incredible. But if the day ever came where that had to happen, yeah, you're welcome. You are like the overpaying, like it balances itself out. Like I was talking with Chris about this. Like if I overpay for a Fleury and I'm like, oh geez, I overpaid like $100 on this card, whatever. But then down the road, you get one for like $50 that shouldn't be 50. That should be 100. And then you do it again in a few months. It balances out. So like I'm guessing if you look at the entirety of your Acetate Young Guns purchases to put the set together, you had a bunch of steals, I'm sure, over the
lots. I'll get into a few steals. The two cheapest cards I've ever bought. One was from the retro set. It was Zach Parise. I think I went on bids for like $11.
Oh my gosh, no way.
And another one, which was crazy because at the time he was nothing, was Yanni Gourde. He was in the update set for 2015, and I won him for $8.
What's $8. That? What does that go for now, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? A couple $100?
Yeah, easily a couple hundred. When he was really hot, it was probably 3 or 4. But now it's since he got traded and he's on Seattle, and he's not on.
But if Seattle ever becomes really good, it'll be because of him, likely, definitely. And then it'll come right back up as soon as that team has success. People can say what they want. As soon as a new team like that has success, Philip Grubauer and Yanni Gourde and anybody else they draft that becomes good or sign, they will be a good team. So, hold your breath on that one for sure if you're a Seattle fan. But, I think it just balances out, and that being said, I think the whole term of overpaying, especially when you're putting a set together, man, like this set, who else is going to have the opportunity to put this together? I know there's one other person on Instagram, which everybody listening now is probably like, what about Acetate Girl? She does the same thing. And you guys have, just to clarify, you're not related. Like you guys are just friends, right?
Yeah, just hobby friends here and there. I would help her with some cards that she was looking for. And if something really rare, because I still have my notifications on eBay, just in case something pops up that she might need and she couldn't, she's not there to find it, I'll end up sending her a link to that.
Right.
So it's pretty cool that she's putting the sets together. She actually has 2 complete sets from 2013 to 2019-20. She has 2 complete sets in that range. She has the Pedersen set, which is 18-19, and the year before that, 17-18.
Good for her. That's awesome. Good for her. And that's awesome really to see collectors like you two that are dedicated to building a set, because other than the Young Guns thing,
Mm-hmm.
I am a player collector, and
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like I'm not a completionist with the player I collect, because that's crazy. I mean, Kendall, who I've talked about before, super awesome, nice guy. He has probably 50 Flurry True 101s, shields, and logo patches, all this stuff.
Is this you say Kendall?
Yeah,
Kendall
he
Mullen, is it?
Kendall Mullen. Yep.
I've seen him on Facebook. I've tagged him maybe a couple times, but I looked at
No,
his actual collection and like
no,
one ones, and I didn't even know if Flurry High Gloss existed. Honestly, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what he's accomplished. But you look at that and you see how awesome it is to see somebody that dedicated. And so for me, I know that I just want a well-rounded collection rather than
Mm-hmm.
trying to complete the whole thing. But so now that I'm about to sneeze, so you're gonna have to forgive me. I might have to like totally
That's
pause
okay.
here. Good, I stopped it. You're looking at SP Authentic coming out here, hopefully within a month or so. I'm guessing end of April, because they're finally getting Premiere out, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Flurry's got a few cards to chase in there, but you're probably anxiously awaiting, the acetate Young Guns to be coming out, and especially with this class, there's like Jason Robertson and Kirill Kaprizov are not going to be. You will be able to find them easily, but they will not be easy to get for cheap. But we were talking about this before we went live. How does that process work? Because I know you and I get pretty excited when new releases come out. You for your set that you're going after, and then obviously for me, just any new Flurry. Like when Series 1 came out, he was in a lot of stuff, and being able to grab that stuff has been really fun to chase down.
Yeah.
But what is your approach to when a new set comes out? Are you starting low to high, high to low as far as value goes, or you just grab what you can get?
Mainly it's take a look at the cards in general, like who's on the checklist. Because right now, other than the big names, there's a lot of players that like Young Guns that I really don't even know about. I only know once I start collecting the acetates that, oh, this guy actually had other rookies that year. I didn't know that. And yeah, just like lower end names. And I when I first started like collecting, I would just go after it as soon as the set was released. But now I kind of wait about 2 or 3 weeks before I make any purchases, because it dies down, and you see, the breakers, when they break, they'll post on eBay, and
it does take a while to get stuff up. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, and so it all depends on like the hype for certain players. Like there's going to be people that don't know what they have.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to post it up on eBay for like 200 OBO, and it could be someone that's not worth anywhere near that, but it's because it's new, it's release date. I mean, they do it every year. It's it's not new. As soon as the first week of any release, things are going to be extremely overvalued from people.
Yes, especially right now.
Yeah. So Kaprizov and I think Robertson, I'm going to be able to get for quote unquote a steal, because even though he's a point per game player his whole career, people are not looking at him hobby wise as they are Kaprizov. The values are definitely not reflected. Kaprizov is easily the bigger card in the hobby, but Robertson is still just as high as a caliber as Kaprizov. So I think Kaprizov is going to be the bigger card. But I just want to see what the quality control issues are, because there's certain years that they have issues. I know that 2016-17 they're notorious for surface issues. Very hard to get 9.5 from that year.
Interesting.
There's other years, 2017-18, which is the weakest class of rookies for all the sets I've been building. It was one of the easier ones to put together, but they have a problem with an actual chip out of the side of the left bottom corner.
Really?
Yeah, so there were some cards that I would actually buy and didn't know this until I got it. And it really didn't affect the value that much from a grading aspect, because I've seen some that were graded 9.5, and they had the error on it. I guess they don't count it, right? And then Pedersen's year, on the bottom edge, there's a piece missing on some cards, just straight up piece missing. Again, that doesn't affect grading, but it affects me as a collector. I want to get one that doesn't have that. I don't want to look at a card that has a chunk out of it. Right?
Yeah. I wonder if it was just, whoever was making the cards that year, because it doesn't sound like Upper Deck does any in-house. It sounds like they're, especially with MVP and Peachy, they had some company overseas do them. I think if you look at the numbering, it was way different than it normally is. So, yeah, who knows, man? That's interesting. But I'm thinking of goalies right now, and I think Sorokin. I mean, you saw that save he made yesterday, probably.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
insane. The paddle save, that was nuts. He's extremely undervalued because he's on a bad team right now. He is a phenomenal goaltender, and I saw his Young Guns was down to like $12. I'm like, that is crazy to me.
And what's just Shesterkin's Young Gun at? I wonder.
I did look that up because I bought one for $44 when I put the set together, and I'm like, man, that's a lot for. At the time, it was my second most expensive one because I hadn't got Price yet and I hadn't got Fleury yet. So other than Carter Hart, which right now that looks like a somewhat overpay, it was only $44. Now it's up to $200. So yeah, that is
for a regular Young Gun.
Yeah. Well, he was also in SP Authentic, so it was the update Young Gun. So those. Yeah. I know. I mean, you would think that they have a lower print run. So, him and some of those other goalies that I bought, it's like, how come I'm paying $12 for Adam Warner's Young Guns? And I would ask around, they're like, oh, this is also from Extended. So once I learned that, I was like, oh, or not Extended, but it's from SP Authentic. I said, oh, okay, the print run's lower. Like Gorgiev was like over $10. And obviously David Ayers was 20, I guess, of the story and him,
Yeah. I remember the release date craze on that. Like,
no, they were like $100, right? Like out the gate.
Man, it was unreal. And people, like, I seen some post, some group posted like the high gloss on there, and someone was like asking, I think it was $3,000. I'm like, I mean, this guy is not an NHL player. It's just a cool story. It's like you're basically paying for the hype. There's not going to be, anything else going to be added. He doesn't play, right? So
yeah, it's a very, very niche player to go after, but it's cool. I just haven't.
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was
cool. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Sorokin is the first goalie, obviously, that comes to mind, but I'm trying to go through all the others in my mind, because you've got Francois, who still plays, but then some of the other guys aren't even playing right now, like Jonas Johansson. And now, do they do an acetate for every if you have a Young Guns, do you have an acetate, or do they take like 20% from every release, or how's that work again?
No, all of them. Yeah, so
they all have them, even if they don't play even now anymore, they'll still get one, right?
Yeah, so from anywhere from 2013 back, obviously high gloss was the grail, like the Rolls Royce, but from anywhere onwards, every single player that got released, regardless, they always got an acetate. So with clear cuts for I honestly hate them. Like I hate them so much.
Like a poor man's acetate.
Yeah, like I hate, because I get tagged in them a lot. Even now, people send like, "Are you interested?" I'm like, no,
right.
I'm not interested because it's a clear cut. It's not what I collect.
Right.
So, but they do 100 card checklists instead of 98 because they have two different checklists for Series 1 and Series 2, which they also do a clear cut for. And I'm pretty sure they get clear cuts for all the Young Guns, like in Extended when it came out. And the acetates obviously haven't come out in like over a year now. So there might be, a release date like later on in some other product where those Young Guns in Extended might get an acetate, but I highly doubt it. I'm honestly even on the edge right now that we're going to get like Kaprizov in SP Authentic and like all those rookies. I really hope so. I really hope that they release them in SP Authentic and they don't cancel it for this year.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up because like when I decided that, we were going to do this today, the word acetate was kind of a hot topic on Hobby Insider because we were wondering, is acetate in those types of cards? You look at, it's not Stature. Stature is another one, but Synergy and, all these sets that have these acetate cards were like, none were coming out. And we were thinking that was a big reason that all these were delayed. Because if you look at even Trilogy, they have that acetate like top on some of those cards. So I think with Clear Cut coming out with Series 1, and you could see the serial numbering was the same as all prior Upper Deck releases, like they got back to the old serial number style, that tells me, at least in my prediction, that they're back to the same, companies or whoever's like printing the cards for them. I think they're back to them, and so that's why you're seeing Premier coming out. And I would go out on a limb and make a strong bet that you're going to see at least 25 to 50, if not all 100 of Series 1 and Series 2 Young Guns, acetate Young Guns. But who knows? Maybe the print run's going to be lower. That's something that you're probably thinking about too. Like, it's being able to sit back for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks is easier in the past when the releases were more consistent. But that's what I've struggled with. If I could just share that, is I found myself kind of overpaying for these like unannounced cards, because like if you look at the O-Pee-Chee ones I posted, the headshot and the post game where Fleury's tossing a puck over the glass, and the game jersey. I mean, I have to admit, it's going to be delivered on Monday. I think I bought one of those retro style game jerseys from Series 1, and I paid. It looks awesome. It's got the dimples. Like, I think it's one of the best looking ones. But I paid over 100 for it, and I've seen a bunch of them in for 30, 40, 50 bucks, and I'm like,
There's a guy on the Facebook groups. He does the sets of those. Just not just those, but all the jerseys from Series 1. So he's going after those, and he said he's paying anywhere from like 30 to 50 for all of them. Like, he's not going higher. I'm like, these are really nice cards. I don't understand how they're not getting the same love that the retro acetates got, because they were really high on release date.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to too, is like, that's really smart that you're waiting, because I get all not gun shy. I get to trigger happy when I'm seeing these, because I'm like, well, there could only be 5 Fleuries. There could be 20 of Datsuk, but there can only be 5 Fleuries, and how am I supposed to know? And sometimes, like you, I get a little bit anxious, and I scoop them up. And this is my first, year of collecting with new releases and being an all-in Fleury collector. So I'm still kind of learning the ropes, in essence, and understanding where the market is. Like, paying $80 for that high gloss, sure, it's about $20-$30 more than you can get a high gloss from earlier releases of Fleury. But I think, you got to kind of factor in the new release and all this. So I, like you, with collecting an unannounced insert or parallel, have struggled at trying to find that, sweet spot, I guess, in essence, of where you should pay. But at the end of the day, you're going to overpay for some, you're going to underpay for some. So I think it kind of balances out.
And it's great because regardless, you're getting it for your collection. It's not going anywhere. It's not a resale. So if you're overpaying for it, it's like whatever. I love it. I'm not overpaying for it to then sell it, because if I sell it for what I paid for it, someone's probably not going to buy it. So, and it's best to just, keep those cards, because like yourself, you're a Fleury collector. You're not going to, regardless if it's, a $2 base card, or you're not going to put this online, for sale. It's in your collection today. Right?
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a Fleury card. You're not going to get rid of those.
I have a question. That's just to have a little bit of fun here. If I go on your page and I see your Instagram name, I clearly know you are a collector of those cards. Like, it's probably a set builder. I could take 5 minutes and I can look and I can figure that out. How often, like how many times per year? I get a couple every month. It's funny. Do you post a card or have somebody hit you up and say, hey, are any of these for sale? Do you get that anymore, or is that kind of
actually one of my latest posts with my six big ones, I guess? The acetates on there. I had someone comment, is Matthews for sale? And I didn't even reply to it. So
there it is. Yeah.
My bio clearly says not for sale, and I'm pretty sure the same individual messaged me in the past and asked if it was for sale as well. So I no disrespect, but again, if you see that's what I'm collecting in my bio, if you see that's what I'm collecting,
yes,
it's kindly ask me in direct messenger if it's for sale, and then pass. Don't comment on my post for sale. Like, that's it. Like, that's kind of like a pet peeve of mine.
All right.
Yeah.
I had somebody message me the other day, and I like to be straight. I just don't say yes or no. Like, I'm very much of a explainer in my things. And so somebody goes, hey, are any of these flurries for sale? And I said, let me ask you one question before I answer that, if you don't mind. I said, I want you to take 2 minutes. I want you to look at my profile picture and look at my account, and I want you to scroll for 2 minutes, and I want you to tell me, does anything on that page tell you that I am selling my collection? Anything at all? Because if it does, I would love for you to let me know that I need to change something, because anybody that goes on there and reads what I say about the cards I post, nobody goes, sounds like he's going to be investing in this and selling it soon. Like, no.
Yeah. Sounds like he just wrote 2 paragraphs on how beautiful this card is. And I can't believe I actually own this card. It's available. Funny that you say that. I actually read that exact comment last night. I was scrolling on your profile, getting ready for today, just in case you brought up like certain inserts, and I seen that, and I was like, that is the absolute perfect response. Like, if you're posting, like, say if you're posting a flurry and you just post like the name of the card, the year it comes from, and that's it. Like, you don't post anything else on it. And if someone asks for sale, that's okay. Go ahead,
Fair enough.
But
fair enough.
You're posting, every post that you have is charismatic. It's always has, I guess, like, love and respect for the card that you got. So when someone, says, oh, for sale, after you just wrote 2 paragraphs on how you love this card, why? Right. Plus, don't do it on the post, do it with direct messenger. That's just, again, a pet peeve of mine.
I think everybody listening to this already understands what we're talking about, but
yeah,
I have learned, and I got to give a shout out. I hope Alex listens to this. I've made a friendship with a collector who unfortunately had his Instagram account hacked. His name is Alex Trzynski, I believe is how you say it. He was Penguins 29 Collectibles there for a bit. And he's a 16, 17-year-old high school kid, and learning, kind of understanding of how that psyche works as compared to ours. When I first met him, he asked me if all my stuff was for trade or for sale. And I go, I mean, I don't trade or sell anything that I don't have doubles of. And we ended up, I had some doubles that we did a trade for, so it worked out great. But it was, and he's a super nice kid. I've really enjoyed getting to know him. But I think a lot of that demographic, collecting wise, tends to be those people that put for sale, or, hey, can I buy this from you? Because they're not putting together all the other aspects of collecting, because all they see in their eyes is like dollar signs or investments, and like that's what they're gearing collecting towards with those kids, most of them, because their parents are not collecting with them. There's not that true, I hate saying like true collector, but like a collector at heart going on within them. It's more of quick money, what's directly ahead of me. So basically, I think understanding a lot of that, I'm sure you've seen that demographic post from time to time. I think understanding that a little bit better, understanding that psyche, I have a lot more leeway with when those types of people reach out, because then I try to, like, have a conversation like, hey, like, what makes you think this is for sale? Like, is there anything? And a lot of times I try to approach it as a teacher would, because that's what I do. So I was like, hey, next time, take a look and read through some of these things. And if there's transactions happening throughout the post, then yeah, go for it. But hopefully those people grow up and some of them become collectors like ourselves and other people that have been on here, where they appreciate the cards and it's not about the money necessarily,
Yeah.
But
there's still a lot of people like that, like me and you out there. There's probably 90% of the Instagram community and other platforms. But even if you're an investor, I mean, it's great, but have a little a little decency, because there are like people that are collecting to collect. So, and a lot of investors say that they like invest and collect like on the side. And I always see that like investor at like mostly like an investor, and then I collect certain player on the side. But it's like this player on the side is like, oh yeah, I invest, but I collect McDavid on the side.
Yeah.
like no offense, because I know some really, really nice guys in the hobby, that are basically they're pioneering the next like level for collectors, like because it's going to be more digital, Bitcoin and other types of cryptocurrency is probably going to be big in the future for the hobby.
Right.
And there's a lot of platforms. There's even a lot of people that accept that as payment for cards. I've seen that on posts before. So
that's wild, man. That's
yeah.
wild. And I want to agree with you. I think great transition into Instagram. You like Gretzky 99 cards, and there's a couple other guys that collect like the high end guys.
Yeah,
I
love
love
that guy
seeing that.
post.
Yeah. It's cool to see somebody collecting someone so expensive, but collecting it, and you can tell they love collecting that.
You can tell, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same things, it's not a bunch of Gretzky rookies. It's low numbered, and even then they'll post like an insert that's like extremely high numbered or very common, but they like the picture on it. And then you can tell they're a collector at heart, right? So
definitely, definitely. I mean, going into that too, like just off the top of your head, why do you enjoy being on that Instagram platform? Like, what are you getting out of it as a collector?
I just like to see what other people are doing, because nobody knows what you're doing in your everyday life. You're only seeing what people are posting on Instagram. Like nobody knows what anyone's going through on there. They're just on there for a good time. They're on there to, see people's collections. They're on there to, talk about the hobby. There's never really any drama. And when you do, you see like people that are on there that are, kids that, probably shouldn't have had an account. And, I've seen that a lot in the past, but for actual collectors on there, like people that are collecting full time, you never really see any drama. Like I know that the Reddit community, I don't really like that. It's decent. It's here and there, but it's kind of like a fringe community for collecting.
Yeah.
Twitter's a little bit different. I only made one purchase on Twitter.
I didn't know you were on there, because that's an interesting platform too. I'm starting to become a little more familiar with the style of the way people post and buy and sell and stacks, whatever the heck that means.
Yeah, I still
see that on there a lot.
I still don't understand how to use Twitter that much, if I'm being honest. I just post a picture and that's basically it. And I don't post everything on there either. That was how I got the attention though of Upper Deck. I was posting my completed sets, and they wrote an article about me, so that was pretty cool.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I just found you on here. Awesome. Yeah, one thing that I think we both experienced when we first got on Instagram, I know you got on there a lot sooner than I did. I was back in 2020. But I think the overall friendliness of the community and the willingness to help others with their collections, I think the majority of the people that I associate myself with, you associate yourself with, and everyone else that's been on this podcast so far, is the enjoyment you get from seeing someone else get something, add something, show something off that they love a lot. And I think that's for me, it's just as exciting seeing, like, now that you and I have got a really good friendship going here, when you get that Caprice off in, assuming that they make them, I hope they do. That's going to be really cool for me to see, just as much as you getting, trying to think of a goalie, Jonas Johansson, for instance. I love the picture on his Young Guns. His is the first one that comes to mind. He was a goalie from last year's release. Seeing you get those is going to be really cool, because I know that you're achieving a goal that you set out to achieve. And I think that's how I collect. I have a major want list, and checking cards off that want list is awesome, because it feels fulfilling.
Like same here, because like you with Flurry, again, like even the biggest Flurry collectors, they're not going to get every single one. Like you can't. Once a certain collector has the only copy of a card, that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
So that's why I was not a player collector, because like I am a kind of a completionist. I kind of want something completed, and that's just how I am. I'm like that with everything. So once I set out to do this master set, like it's like I wanted it done, right? I knew it was going to take a long time, but I wanted it done. So it's like with a player collector, when I started collecting Datsu, I want to set my goals to rookie year. So it's basically a set, right?
Yeah.
I can complete it. Yeah, there's one right there. That was
Shout out
cool.
to Pacific and Mike Kramer. Love it.
Yeah.
Love seeing Pacific get posted. That's awesome. These are so tough to track down now too, man. So good for you. I mean, some of these sets that they came out with, the parallels somewhat look like like the base, and so because of that, you get them stuck in boxes and collections that you never see them.
Yeah, well, the two on that, the blue and the red from the last post, I actually got them both on the same day after going like 6-7 months without ever seeing one. So
Really,
it was unreal, yeah. And the blue is jersey numbered. 56 is not what you associate Datsuk with at all, but
no.
it is the jersey that he has on, so it is technically jersey numbered, so it's cool, and it's just
awesome.
Only thing I find with these older sets is the numbering. It's just really odd. I mean, the one there is out of like 984, and then the blue is at a 62. And for some reason, instead of the red being like at a 50 or 49, it's at a like 54. I mean, not complaining, just very different. But I like the coloring because it's blue because the numbering's blue. So
exactly. Well,
like
I can speak on that only because Mike Kramer was nice enough to, and I need to find a way to get this out to everybody. It was nice enough to release like the print runs for everything in Pacific that was made. He sent me a copy of it all, but also talking to him, we brought that up. We go, Mike, why are we having premiere dates out of 84? Nowadays with Upper Deck, 100, 10, 50, 25, they stick to those numbers pretty well, unless it's like a Synergy purple or a Synergy clear, which is out of the year. I think the number has been going down every year or something like that. It's strange, but it just came down to how much product they made. And when we're able to dive really deep into those numbers, it'll be fascinating for everyone to see that the reason that red is out of 54 is because they made all the product, and that's how many that they could make, more or less. So they would decide on an insert and a parallel, and they would say, well, how much total product is that going to create if we do this extra parallel? Can we make that work? And it's pretty fascinating, man. I mean, Pacific, we do like 5-6 episodes just on that. But I was really happy to see you going for kind of a side PC, because I think the side PCs are just as much fun, because oftentimes we pick guys that are a bit tougher to find. For me, it's my Leland Irving / Danny Taylor little side PC, and those guys, nobody collects them. So minus Flames fans and Kings fans. So trying to track those down is fun, just as like collecting these Pacifics is just as much fun, because even though Datsuk is one of the most well-known Red Wings ever, the Pacific cards, they fly under the radar,
Yeah, and I like they're like, because these sets don't exist anymore, like for hockey, which is, it'd be cool to see the transition from then till now, like what these cards would look like. I mean, you see, I think Vanguard, is it still in football? I'm not 100%.
Yeah, they do it in football. I know that they've done it in basketball, and not super recent, but they still do Revolution in basketball, and it's beautiful, man. Holy smokes, it's something else. But they still continue some of his Mike Kramer's original set names, so I'm happy to see that. I do.
Yeah,
like that.
very cool. I just like the look, and like with Datsuk, he has a lot of obscure rookies, and it's been a great learning experience, because before this, I didn't really know much about different subsets and things. Like, I didn't know that Pacific was even a thing, if I'm being honest, until I started collecting Datsuk. And I'm like, Pacific, what is that? That doesn't seem like it like it exists anymore. And
that's right.
So I was looking into it, and I've seen all these different releases, like different cards, like, oh, he has Parkhurst rookies. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I think Parkhurst rookie was actually the first one I bought of him, and I was like, oh,
okay.
I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, because I've never really purchased since I started collecting my acetate set in the last 6 years. It was the first purchase I made that wasn't an acetate. That was, going to the mailbox and getting a card that, was not part of my set, which was really cool. And then again, I want to get everything, and I want to get it like the best parts. I want to get everything. So
it's allowed you to kind of continue that completionist style of collecting. You can venture off and grab something like this. It's not a rookie, but
that one's like actually gone now.
Oh man, I've had to delete a couple cards off my account because of that reason. So
I traded that for the jersey numbered, actually.
Oh, did you? Okay, well there you go.
The first trade I think I've ever done.
Well, and you know what? I've only done a couple trades myself, but they usually guys like us that are completionists that don't want to let stuff go. It usually brings us a card that we love even more. So I'm happy that the color-coded Fleury is gone and in Daniel Remington's hands, and I love that I have that Artifacts autograph in my collection now, because that's like the holy grail card in the display case.
Those color-coded are nice cards, though, eh?
Well, they're nice. I justified letting it go because he's on the Golden Knights, and certain players signed in like yellow or gold thick pen. I'm like, this is a huge missed opportunity. How he did not sign in a gold pen, I'll never understand. So I don't think I'll ever own that card unless I find it for a really good deal again. And the services get kind of scratched
you're
up.
like me, aesthetics. It's like, that should have been golden. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Like even a yellow pen would have looked cool, but the silver pen, they gave him a really thin pen. Yeah. So his is not nearly as bold. Like if you look at that one set, I always forget the name off the top of my head, but from the Cup last year, where it's a patch and like a silhouetted picture with the close up inside the silhouette, and with like a really dark, thick blue pen. Like I love stuff like that because it's completely different. So I would have liked to have seen it done like that. Therefore, I was happy to let that go. And the Honor Hopefuls is perfect, man.
It's not the Silver Knights, right? So,
I mean, whatever. Real quick, while I'm sharing the screen here, I was like giving people an opportunity toward the end of the episode to give a shout out or two or three to some Instagram accounts. What Instagram accounts do you find yourself, enjoying more than, I mean, not more than most, but like when the new post comes from these people, you're like, oh, cool, I want to read what they wrote about the post and all that stuff. Is there anybody that comes off the top of your head?
Well, your account probably comes off right away.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to think now. I got so many accounts that I have on there. People that I always read the posts. I mean, I like seeing like Acetate Girl when she posts, because I know when she posts it means she's going to have a new card in her set, right? And it basically brings me back to when I was collecting, because I can no longer do that, right? I can't buy these cards because I have them. So it's cool when you see it. It's like, oh, I remember when I got that same card in the mail, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. You got to live vicariously through the posts again. It's fun for sure.
Yeah.
And this has got to be fun for you on another level, because you're seeing her trying to complete a set, and you know what that journey is like. So.
And her photography skills are way better than mine. I'm just going to say that. Like,
it's all about having the right lighting. Bradey. That's what it comes down to, man. I mean, this selfie light thing that I have here, this thing is a perfect compliment to having good photography. If you can get the angle right on certain cards. But yeah, this good. I'm glad that you gave her a shout out. Melissa does an amazing job. She's super friendly too. I've reached out to her. Mm-hmm. I was looking for more information on the Fleury when I first saw it, and also was curious if she had a double of a certain goalie. I thought Aiden Hill was coming to Seattle, so I wanted to get a clear-cut Young Guns of his, but he didn't.
I got some more accounts I can shout out for sure.
Yeah, let's hear a couple more.
There's Dylan's Cards.
Is it DY?
Yeah, the first one there. Everything he posts is awesome because it's obscure and different. I actually have a really big card coming from him here very soon.
Okay.
But like everything that he posts is obscure and very interesting. Like every single card, he has a story behind it, or like especially his like earlier posts.
Yeah.
Just awesome stuff. Like you'll have like jersey numbered stuff or like Christmas tree right
Oh, I
there.
remember
Like,
this card right here.
and
Holy
then,
smokes.
yeah, like really cool stuff that he posts. Another big shout out to the Big Three hockey.
I hope
Yeah.
look at, I don't follow this person. I've not heard of this person.
Is this the, yeah, it's the same. Yeah. He very nice guy. Very nice
Okay.
guy. I've talked to him before in the past a lot, and he posts a lot of high end stuff. But he's also like in.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know, right?
Ooh,
He
and
has
a
he
tin.
has the
Oh my
McDavid
goodness.
gold PMG as
Okay.
well. So he posts a lot of crazy stuff, but he posts from all aspects, not just hobby, but he'll post like Pokemon, he'll post Yu-Gi-Oh, he'll post all kinds of things. Plus, he's like not only in it for like his own collection, he is trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Like he's trying to make the market more enjoyable. Like he's always posting about different market schemes, and I think it's just really really cool what he posts. So
Well,
I
I'm
just
glad
want to
I'm
shout
glad
out
you
those.
gave me an account I didn't know already. So thank you for that.
Do you follow high end hockey? He's a really cool guy too.
Well, and I just real quick before we go there, I did want to say that I'm glad to hear that, because you see a lot of these higher end collectors out there, and knowing that they're nice, down to earth people. I think there's a stigma with these types of collectors that they're more like, and I've met both sides, where they're just like, either you're going to sell this to me or not, and they just move on and go on to the next person. I like seeing guys like this that are personable. I think that's really important. What was the last one you said?
High end hockey.
High end.
I think it's one word. Yeah, the high end rookies. High end rookies.
Oh,
Actually. Yeah.
okay. High
Yeah,
end
right there.
rookies.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've made a few deals with him in the past, and he just has a really nice collection. And you can kind of just drool by looking through his page. He has some of the nicest stuff, and really nice photography is what I wanted to.
My goodness gracious.
Yes, I know, right?
That's unbelievable. Yeah, that's something else, man. Well, cool. Well, I got
So
some
yeah.
some new ones to follow here. That's great.
Also,
Uh,
all these people are great with photography too. It's something that I love to see on posts. I see like some posts are just extremely fuzzy and like it's just I don't like it. Like I would never post unless I'm going to have a very nice picture, right? So
right. No, I agree with you. I think that's super super important.
Mhm.
And yeah, well, great. Well, I'm glad that you're bringing those up. I think I'm with you. The photography is very important to me, and sometimes I'll use a scanner. My scanner is very very good as far as capturing the essence of certain cards. I think when
Mhm.
you get like those patterned ones, like the O-Pee-Chee Platinum, the orange checkers, or even the Emerald Surges,
Those are
like some of those,
beautiful. Yeah.
those look really cool when you scan them, because it's a very very static image rather
Mhm.
than like a refractor. They don't scan very good in there, but you can get like the background of them to look really clear. And so there's certain cards where I'm like, okay, this is a very good scannable card, but if it's got
Mhm.
that rainbow foil on there, you can't scan those nearly as well, as you got to get the lighting to happen. But
Yeah.
um, I know we're getting kind of close to wrapping it up, but I did want to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about this. Is like, you have your acetate set going forward. Is like looking forward to your next, let's say the next few months of collecting, assuming SP Authentic comes out. Is
Mhm.
that like your primary goal for the next few months here?
Yes, for sure. Definitely going to be. I mean, the Datsu collection can definitely be put on the side for now. I'm going to get back to my roots, like what I'm known for.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate it, when I'm collecting, because even though the set, like it is complete, realistically, they come out every year. So it's not, you're just basically just the waiting game. So until they
Mhm.
stop releasing them, that's when I'm going to be collecting them. So there's a lot that, like right now, there's 770 cards as the checklist.
So you have all 770 currently. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
So I forget the details on how many or whatnot. I know there's 51 retros, and there's 3 buybacks, which is actually really, really cool part of my collection. And what makes it basically a true like one of one collection, even if someone else wanted to try to put the sets together, is that the buybacks are all out of 3. So then there's a 3-card set. You have Vladimir Tarasenko, you have Darnell Nurse, and you have David Pastrnak. So they're all out of 3. And I was really lucky I got the Nurse on eBay randomly, and a buddy of mine hooked me up with the Tarasenko that he had. But the Pastrnak was a different story. I don't know if you know Matthew James Lee on Instagram.
No, I don't think so.
He's a Cup like RPA collector, and he's a huge Boston Bruins fan.
Oh,
and
okay.
he has another copy of the same card that I have. And there's also a collector in the Czech Republic that has the other copy.
Well, that's cool to know where all 3 of them are at. That's neat.
Yeah. So the thing is, a lot of these guys are big collectors. The one guy is just a collector of, I think, Czech players and like Pastrnak in general. While Matthew is all around the board with Boston. So I know those are probably not going to be sold. I know Matthew's probably not going to be selling his. So it's what makes it cool is that it's a true one of one set with that one card, and it's pretty cool, but kind of odd because this card was actually a redemption from a buddy of mine. He I think it was probably a bad idea now, but back then it was a good idea. He ended up cracking SP Authentic, and he got the Cale Makar Future Watch patch auto. It was like four or 5 colors or something, but it was really, really damaged. Like the bottom right corner was just completely wrecked. So he sent it back as a redemption, and a couple months later he got this David Pastrnak back. And what made it really odd for me is I've never seen something that low of numbered actually sent back as a redemption, which means there was only 2 on the market. So I just thought that was really odd. That Matthew,
why would they have held one back? Maybe that redemption had passed its redeeming point and they held on to it.
Yeah. But it came out in buyback, right? That same year.
Oh yeah, right.
So
that's weird.
The Pastrnak like acetate in general wasn't a buyback. So I thought it was really, really weird that he got that card, but I wasn't complaining because we made a deal on it. It was the only card left on the checklist at the time because I didn't think of McDavid as the last card because I didn't think I was ever going to own one. So I was like, whatever, kept the card on the checklist, and woke up one morning and my phone was just going off, notifications like crazy. And there it was. And there's a lot of people around it. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. There's probably 40, 50 people after this card. And I eventually came to a deal with the guy. He was kind of sketchy to deal with at first, but eventually, I found out he's a pretty good guy. He didn't really know what he had because he kept coming back with higher prices because other people were offering like that price. And he's like, oh, you got to go higher than this. I'm like, okay. So eventually I'm like, I don't care what I'm paying. If I'm being real here, I'm buying it. So I don't think I overpaid for it looking back. I think I think it was a good like investment, if you want to call it that. I'm never going to get rid of it, so it's not really an investment.
Right.
So yeah, very cool to add that to the collection to basically make this say like one of one set, because if someone else were to attempt it, I don't think they'd be able to get the pasta, which maybe if someone wanted to.
Yeah, that would be tough. That'd be a tough go. I mean, you'd have to want to retire to an exotic island somewhere and live the last 20 years of your life doing whatever you wanted, and you could use these cards to do that. But nobody's going to do that. I mean, how long it took you to put together, I can't even imagine what it would take. Like,
well, this, a lot of money. This set is really just going to stay with me forever. I mean, unless, again, there's something that you can't help, like family emergency type thing.
Right.
But that's about it. Right.
I wanted to give you a chance to, or give everyone a chance to see your top 10 that you have here. And I do have to get going here because I have to coach, but I wanted to make sure everybody saw the McDavid and the Matt. Is this the Matthews down here?
Yeah.
Is this Kucherov up here?
Yeah.
Correct. There's Pedersen and
Keller.
Yeah, Keller. Yeah, of course, and Tuca. And this one's autographed, isn't it?
That's the Pasternak.
That's it. Yeah, that's the Pasternak. Yeah, and it's silver pin too. Oh, so cool.
Yeah, it actually looks really nice.
That's a wonderful, man. That's great. Well, so I mean, I was going to ask you, as being a goalie collector, which goalie is your favorite asset? Like, maybe let me rephrase this: which one has the best picture on it? If you think just off the top of your head, all your goalie young guns, which one in your mind is one of your favorites, just because of like the picture on it?
I'm not sure. I like the Mrazek is not for the picture. The reason why it's up there, it's more the importance of the card. But I want to say probably Fleury. I mean, I'm a Pens fan. Fleury's there, picture. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now, like goalies that I have. But
how's the Carey Price picture? Is it a pretty good one?
It's nice. It's decent, but a lot of these are stand up. I like when they're down. Like I like Mrazek. Like he's basically like he's up against the post there. Like I like that.
Right.
That Mrazek is like, so that's the top 10 right there.
Right.
Like there's all significance to them. Like there's ones there that they're not valuable. They're just really cool ways of how I obtain them and their importance to the set. Like the Mrazek was the last card I needed for my first set.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And it came from a guy who was selling off his Mrazek collection for a wedding at the time. And he had a lot of guys. He had the complete rainbow, all 9.5 as well, which was really cool. And he was going to sell them to a bunch of buddies. People were interested in it or whatever. And he said, well, you've been asking for a while, so I'm not going to sell the rainbow. I'm going to split it up if you still want the card. And I was like, yeah, I want the card.
Your heart like beating through your chest. Oh my gosh, yes.
I was like, oh, I can't believe it, right? Like he just hit me up one day. So I ended up buying it. That completed the first set. And a lot of these cards that are there in that picture are just basically last cards that I needed to complete all the different sets.
Okay.
Like the Rask was bought in the Czech Republic. The only card ever came from overseas. That completed my retro set. I thought until they released more, right? And the Keller, same thing. Really hard to find card and popped up and completed my set from that year. Same thing with Pedersen. Kucherov, where I was talking to you about earlier. It's basically one of the first 6 cards that I got. For my collection when I first started. The Matthews, again, completed my 2016 set. The Pasternak, just really cool story behind it. That's why it's there. The Cody Ceci, the one at the very top left there, that was actually given to me for free. Someone sent it because they knew I was collecting the set, right? So,
that's awesome, man. I love random acts of kindness. Those are the best.
Very cool. Guy's name is Alex. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he was on the Facebook groups. He was really well known there years ago, and he just gifted it to me out of nowhere. He asked for my address and he sent it to me, so I included it in the top 10 for that reason.
Good. And, I hope he listens to this. Then that would be great.
Be really cool. Yeah. That's the Damon Severson there in the middle on the bottom.
Yeah.
That one completed my 2014-15 set. But the cool story also behind it is that I was bidding on it before I really even knew how to eBay worked. So I kind of just bid like $1 up on it and I lost it. Instead of just bidding up like as high as I could go and just get it for whatever the other bid. So that was actually Christmas Day, like 2017 or something, I think 2018. And I was actually opening like presents that morning while I was bidding on this card and I lost it. And I just thought it was like any normal card. I'll find it again. Well, no, like almost 4 years, maybe 3.5 years later, it became the last card that I needed.
That's funny.
And it was the only purchase I've ever made off of Twitter. So,
okay. All right. Yeah, well, it can be profitable. Twitter is. I've had a few.
Yeah. Okay. McDavid, the same thing, was just to complete the whole thing. So that's the significance of those. It was really kind of it was a little bit easier finding these, like the other 10, like the non-acetates that you were asking for. If you asked me about to do that back in like last year sometime, I wouldn't be able to,
Right.
because I didn't collect anything else. So yeah, these are just, there's some stories behind a couple, but the others are just some really low numbered like Datsuk stuff. That's all.
I like that you included the Prism because I love that the Father's Day and Expo packs are these parallels are huge.
That's the cracked ice at a 10.
Yeah, it's a tough card, man.
Yeah, so
that's a tough card.
It's a fun story there too. I ended up only owning the base from that year, because even the base from like 2012 sell for like $20-$30. Like they're just ridiculous because of how hard they were to obtain. And I was just going after the rainbow from 2012, and I only had the base, and I'm pretty sure I ended up having the regular prism, like the silver prism.
Yeah.
And a buddy got me in contact with a guy on Facebook. I'm trying to remember his name now. Chris Hall. He, funny enough, a weird twist of fate, he was also going for the rainbow years ago, and the only one that he didn't have was the gold. And I had the gold coming from somewhere else. So he had every card that I needed for the rainbow except the gold. So I ended up getting them all at the same time and completed this whole thing in like a month. It was unreal.
That's pretty good. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you and I could sit here and share story after story, but I'd say for your first time coming on a podcast, man, I think that you're a natural on here. I think it would be awesome to have you back. And the goal is to be getting individuals on here, and then after 10 or so episodes, start doing some, groups of people. I think it's great when
I'd love to be back. Like that. I did some practice actually before I came on here.
Did you?
By myself? Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Because I never really have the camera facing towards me, so I kind of just sat down and was like preparing for the podcast, and like basically.
I like it.
Yeah, so
I like hearing that. It's from a teacher's perspective. I love hearing that you prepped, because there's times where I if I don't prep for a lesson, or at least think through my head, like, okay, how is this going to go? Or how's the podcast going to go? Even when I record a video for YouTube, I have to kind of have a script in my head, because I could just ramble on, and then nobody wants to listen to me do that. So
yeah, I'm bad for that. So that's why I probably got off topic in the podcast. I didn't realize, but I go off topic a lot. I go from one story to like 5 stories. Like, so
that's how we are as collectors. And I'm, Bradey, thanks again for coming on here and like kind of sharing your story, because to hear from someone who has, I'll go out and say it, not but probably one of the hardest master sets to complete in hockey. You've done it. And I'm really, I'm even more excited to kind of follow your journey from now. When SP Authentic comes out, I think I'm going to be more excited for, depending on what flurries are in there at first, but I'm going to be more excited to see how you go about getting them. And I would love to have you back at least then, once you started getting things, and for you and I to kind of talk through how you approached it, because maybe you can teach me and everybody else listening a thing or two about like, okay, you can be patient with this, but you can't be patient with this, because there's always,
there's always certain ways you got to look at it, for sure. And honestly, man, I'm happy to be here for like doing this. This is actually unreal to be able to like talk to someone who has as much joy collecting. It's really cool that you stick to what you're collecting, and that's it. You don't waver. You got the people you like to collect, and you have fun doing it. So if you ever want to have me back on this podcast, I always have a week off. My shift at work is a week on, week off.
Okay.
Either when you're talking to me, you're either going to catch me on my days on or my days off. So
right. Well, we'll definitely make it work, and
for sure.
We'll be in touch when SP Authentic comes out, and I'll leave everybody with this wonderful picture that we both agree is the best acetate retro young guns that's ever been released so far. Best goalie one for sure.
Best goalie one, yeah. The Ovechkin probably got the picture on the Ovechkin almost got that one beat, but that is a very beautiful flurry, especially the background you got on there. Really nice.
I had to do something like that, but cool. Well, hey, thanks again, Bradey. I got to go off and coach, and thanks again to everybody listening. We'll catch you next week. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks for having me, Matt. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.